Good morning. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. It is America's Supermom with another edition of Chronicles Live. I'm so excited to be here with you this morning. I have a guest who is due to arrive momentarily, but I just want to say we are winding down the year 2020. We are just a few days away from another year. So I hope you guys are taking this time to reflect and think about what do you want in 2021. It doesn't do any good to have all these aspirations, goals, and plans for a better year, but you're still taking the same behavior, mindset, attitude, habits into another year as if things are going to miraculously disappear, right? So if you want to save money for 2021, but you have a habit of spending and not saving just because you have a mindset to make the change, it's not going to happen without the implementation. So I hope that makes sense for everybody. And I'm speaking to myself, okay? Because the thing I'm talking about is losing weight, right? So, how is it that you're going to lose weight if you're still eating the same portions, eating before you go to bed? I mean, some of these just minor tweaks can really have a big impact. And really, it just boils down with eating is eating less calories than what you burn, right? So, you don't have to fill your tank up or overfill it. And I'm referring to like your stomach if you're not going to be exercising that much, because some people are like, oh, I'm going to start off exercising, but you haven't been doing it, right? That's another one. So it's like, it's 2021, I'm going to exercise, but we have to take baby steps. So we have to take these small steps to move forward in what it is that we want to accomplish. So if we want to lose weight, then we want to think about what are the small things that I can do consistently every day that can move me in the right direction. So let's just think about it realistically. I'm on this tangent when it comes to weight. If you do not work out, it could be maybe you don't have any energy. You don't even know what workouts to start with, right? Does it really make sense to think you're going from no working out to 30 minutes or even an hour a day on a regular basis and maintaining it if you haven't done it before, right? So we need to reframe that thinking and say, what can I do for 5 minutes a day that can lead up to 30 or an hour a day, right? So, what is it that I can do for 5 minutes a day, or even just 5 minutes, right? So, you could say, I'm going to work out 5 minutes before I eat. So, that might look like doing a few jumping jacks, a couple push ups, or whatever, really quickly for 5 minutes before I have breakfast, before I have lunch, before I have dinner. You add that up, that's 15 minutes. Now, a lot of people say 5 minutes, that's not that long, but you think about it over the course of a day, that's 15 minutes that you've worked out when you haven't been doing anything. And 5 minutes is enough time that you could say, I can do 5 minutes. And so before you know it, that 5 minutes turns to 10 minutes and 10 minutes turns to 20 minutes. So I hope you get the gist of that. So this is the thing that we need to think about. How can we make something so small that it really seems insignificant enough for us to do it every day? Because we can carve out 5 minutes, right? So we just recently had the same type of conversation regarding our businesses. I'm in a company called Send Out Cards, and one of the eagles in our organization discussed having a business mindset of spending 20 minutes a day on your business. Now, a lot of people say 20 minutes, that's just not real effective. But think about 20 minutes over the course of a week. This is very effective, okay? Because it adds up. And people can make time for 20 minutes. And you could break it up. You can do 10 minutes at one seating and 10 minutes in another. A lot of times we consume ourselves with a lot of busy work, right? Oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. So busy, but are we really being productive? Are we doing income producing activities, right? You might be having a bunch of meetings, but are you doing any sales with those meetings? Are you converting some of those meetings to clients? I mean, these are some of the questions that we have to ask ourselves. But if we're intentional with spending 20 minutes a day making sure that we accomplish some income producing activities, we're going to be a lot further ahead. So it's not always having a large number that we should be concerned about, but it is about us making sure that we're consistently doing what we're supposed to be doing. All right. So, next thing, my guest still hasn't arrived. You never know with this technology. As you can see from yesterday, I had a guest that, we were not on the same page. So it was a little delay with that guest arriving. But I want to talk about Inspirational Women of the World. This is a book that I have recently been a part of, and want to challenge you this year to maybe start a book club, right? Start reading and thinking about the things that you really want to achieve in your life. So many people think, oh, I got to get this program, I got to join this organization, which I'm not knocking that. But we need to be mindful of the things that we need to accomplish, right? And a lot of times we go get into some of these programs or join these groups only to be in the same situation. And books are a great way to begin the process to change our mindset, right? So I might not be able to interact with the people that collaborated in this book, right? It was 20 of us, and I was the only one from the United States. But the issue is I might not have normally been able to interact with them. But when you're reading a book, you have the opportunity to have the captive attention of somebody that has accomplished or overcome something that you find inspiring. At least I hope that's why you're reading, right? So if Warren Buffett, who is very well known for his scrutiny with finances and money, right? If I don't have access to him, I could read any book, article, or something that he's read, which substitutes as spending time with him, right? Because I'm able to see how he thinks when he is interviewed, or if I'm watching videos about his train of thinking. These are the opportunities for you to create a different circle. So we have a lot of people who are like, you know what? I find that such and such is not serving me anymore. I'm through with them. I'm not going to go into 2021 with them in my circle. I'm getting rid of them, or whatever the case may be. But you don't replace that person with somebody else, right? So we know what we may want, but it actually takes us being intentional to provide a substitute for that time, that effort, or whatever it is that we had poured into that other individual. So if you decide, hey, I feel like I want to eat better, well, that's well and good, but are you looking at different cookbooks? Are you talking to people who are nutritionists who understand, what type of food is good for you? What type of food is good to lose weight, right? We have to change our circle. And so we start with those areas that we actually have a hang up with, right? So if you find that you just can't get places on time, right? We need to begin to look for books or people that are good at managing their time. They're good at getting things done. Now, how do you know? A lot of people watch people's highlight reels, right? I could post anything I want on social media, right? But it takes us digging a little deeper to find out the value in whatever it is that I'm posting. So I could say, take these selfies. Hey, life is great. Got 15 kids and 8 of them e-learning and all this stuff. But you have to dig a little deeper, right? Because a picture doesn't always tell the story. Now, who would purposely put crazy stuff on social media? Okay, you got to think about it. Of course, people are going to put their best foot forward. It is about making a good impression. However, how deep does that impression go? Is that just some good wrapping paper on a cardboard box? Or is it the wrapping paper? Is it a, um, like a shiny box? Is it, got the little trimmings on the inside? What all is going in this package? That's the point I'm trying to get you to see. Now, how do you see if that's true? Well, you dig a little deeper, right? I can get on here doing my own solo video, saying anything, which I usually do with my Facebook Lives, right? However, you have to be able to say, what do other people say? Right? Because I can tell you how I am all day long, but what are other people saying about me? Right? I'm just using myself as an example. So don't get into the hype of believing what people say if you don't really have an example that demonstrates what they're saying. So I listened to this podcast and I can't remember the person's name, but they say, make sure the audio matches the video. So that means, for me, it's a scripture background. It's about being a hearer and a doer of God's word, right? That means whatever he commands you to do, whatever he tells you, right, that you hear, you take action and you do, right? So a lot of people say, oh, yeah, I'm a good listener. A listener means that you listen, but you take action, right? See, that's the part a lot of us miss. We listen and then we say, oh, I'm going to do it later, or that sounds good, I'm going to get to it. We procrastinate. We don't take action. So being a hearer and a doer is listening and taking action. So if I say, hey, Sally, okay, she's across the room, can you come here? I know that Sally listened because she heard me call her and she came. It's simple, right? So that's how we need to be in our own lives. So when somebody is telling you something, okay, he's cannot able to connect. That's okay, Jedediah. That was my guess. You know what? Technical difficulties, guys. So this is one of these things you always got to be prepared for. But as you can see, I don't have any problem talking. So when we are listening to what people are telling us, sometimes we don't really have the proof that they are actually doing what they're saying. So this is where we dig deeper to find out if the audio is matching the video, right? So if someone is saying, yeah, try this, do this, whatever, if they're a coach, for example, look for testimonials, right? We get so caught up in people telling us what we want to hear, we don't do any background work, you know? And all we have to do is dig a little deeper. So if someone's saying, hey, I took somebody from, $100 to six-figure income, well, where's the testimonial? Then if you check the testimonial, look at their page. What are they saying? What are they doing? What are people saying about them? Right? You have to follow the thread. You have to do your own detective work and research. So many times, don't allow your emotions to get you into making rash decisions that do not serve you. And then at the end of the day, you get upset with whoever, but really, this is us taking accountability for our own actions. When it comes to successful things that you want to last, they don't come overnight. They don't come easy and they don't come without work. So we see people's highlight reels, but we don't know how many hours it took them to create that selfie, so to speak, right? It has to be the right lighting, whatever, this filter, that filter, right? My kids, I'm telling you, they can spend a half an hour on one picture. Okay, so you got to think about these things before you start taking action and following people. Okay, so give me 1 second here, guys. I'm going to see if I can give him a message. That's one thing about technology. It will have you stressed out. And I choose not to stress myself out. You think about it, you might even be prepared, have your talk together, but then something happens with the technology that's out of your control. And this is a great thing to remind us about the things that we can and can't control. So if I don't know anything about technology, or I'm at the mercy of the internet or the host that I'm using, in this case, I'm using StreamYard or Zoom or whatever. If something happens outside of my control, I can only be responsible for my part, and recognizing that, hey, you can't do anything if it's out of your control. You don't have the ability to, but you can affect your attitude, your demeanor, how you navigate or respond to whatever it is that you've been challenged with. So um, that is how we will handle that. So I really encourage you guys to think about it during this last few days of the holidays, the time that you have off work, the time that you have with your families. What is it that you want in 2021? So as you make this list, think about things that you want to change and what your part is in making those changes, right? Doesn't do any good to have this fantasy thinking about how things are going to transform, but then you're still doing the same thing. So that's the thing with insanity. So insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. So just because you wake up in a positive mindset, but you're still doing dead end things, nothing's going to change. So you have to think about the positive mindset, use that energy to learn something new and to create a different roadmap on your journey, right? So if you know that you keep going down the same road headed to California, but that road takes you to Maine, whose fault is that? Okay. You have been there, done that how many times, but you're still doing it, expecting that you're going to end up in California when that road only goes to Maine. I mean, that's just an example. But I know it sounds crazy, it sounds hilarious, but this is what we do every day, right? You get around those same people, they don't serve you. By the time you get done with your interaction, you're upset, and they walk away still being who they are, but you are mad about something they did, but you gave them room to do it, right? So often we blame other people, but you need to change your habits, right? Change your attitude. So you can't change people. But if you notice that when you're around certain people, they bring out certain things in you, then you need to change your circle, right? It's not their fault for them being who they are when you've recognized who they are, but you still want to believe something different and keep on doing the same thing, right? It doesn't make sense. So I'm sorry to be on this tangent, but sometimes we have to have these come to Jesus moments, I'd say, right? That's when it's like the reality. Stop telling yourself things. My story is dealing with depression. And for 13 years, I was caught up in this cycle of people pleasing, not knowing who I was, whatever. And now it's like, you know what? I don't have any more time to waste. I've already wasted 13 years. So where am I going to go from here? Right? What lesson am I going to learn from that? And how am I going to help other people avoid the same mistakes I did? So it's about being transparent, and it's about telling your story in a way that serves others so that they can learn, right? I was telling, I did an interview yesterday with a gentleman who served 21 years in prison. He was given a life sentence, and he was able to get out. He's been out doing positive things and trying to be a voice for others who are incarcerated, right? However, after listening to his story, and he is very transparent about it, does it make sense for me to feel the only way that I can experience what he experiences for me to go to prison? No. See, when people tell their stories, it's for you to avoid the path that they took so you can learn. Hey, if you break the law, you can be incarcerated, right? I don't need to go to jail to know that that's true, right? So we have to begin to think, hey, a lot of people, oh, I'm not depressed. That doesn't appeal to me or whatever the case may be. But it may not be depression that you're struggling with. It may not be incarceration, but you could be over drinking. You could be not managing your time properly. You don't have any boundaries. You had a childhood trauma. Everybody has a story, right? But are you going to let that story dictate your life while you keep on thinking about the past, right? So let me give you one thing before we go. Depression is from living in the past, right? That's because, you're sitting here all upset over something that happened and you're living there, right? That's depression, is dealing with the past. Anxiety is stress about the future. You're living in the future, right? Now, you can't change the past. You don't know the future. See, this is the difference. You don't know the future, but you have anxiety about it. The only control you have is the present. Now, if you want a better future, this is where we are now. We're 2020 going into 2021. So we want a better 2021, right? Than what we saw in 2020. But the only power you have to impact 2021 is in the present, because life is based on you planting the seeds in the present so that you can reap a harvest in 2021. So we're back to the example of the weight loss or our time management, for example. It doesn't do any good for me to just hopefully wish for a better physical evidence of me losing weight without me planning and implementing a roadmap to get there. So, am I going to cut off the time that I eat every day? Am I going to substitute snacks for junk food? Am I going to drink more water? See, the part of the implementation is actually giving yourself things that you could do to get you where you want to go. So I could say, oh, I want to eat better. What am I going to do to eat better? What is it that I need to incorporate in my daily routine that's going to help me be on the road to weight loss, right? So just as I said in the beginning, you have to eat less calories than what you're burning, right? So if that's the case, how can I eat less calories in a meal? Cut out sweets, cut out soda. That might be a simple thing, right? So then it's like, okay, what is it about my current diet that is not getting me where I want to go? So this is another thing. People just want to throw out all the food you got and start completely over. You may not like sweet potatoes. So that might be the first thing. Maybe it says switch out regular potatoes for sweet potatoes, but you don't like sweet potatoes, right? So does it make sense to go and buy a whole bunch of different vegetables, fruit, and all this stuff that you haven't been eating, thinking that you're going to miraculously enjoy these things? It doesn't make sense. So you need to start with one thing and add that to your plate rather than trying to recreate the wheel, right? So you got to take it in small doses. So if the only vegetable you like is broccoli, start with broccoli. If you have to eat broccoli every day, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, Burger King, they serve the same thing on their menu every day. So why can't you eat broccoli every day if that's the only vegetable you like? If you haven't been eating vegetables, but that's a vegetable you like, doesn't it make sense to get something you like and then branch out to other things? So this is something simple that we can implement and begin to examine. It's the little things. It's adding broccoli to your plate. It could be, okay, I'm going to eat a couple stalks of broccoli before I, eat these French fries or whatever. So start adding the good things first, then branch out to the other things, right? So if you know that you're adding something to your diet, start with the good first and then fill yourself up with that before you branch out to the other things that aren't serving you. You have to kind of reprogram your mind about that. And you'll find over time your taste buds will change. I'm only speaking from experience, but I still have some work to do, right? So you begin to acquire a taste for that. You would rather have broccoli than French fries or some of these other things, because what happens is you notice that you don't feel the same. When you start eating healthy and those nutrients start working and maximizing the potential of your muscle use and just clarity, the ability to think because your body's functioning better, you're going to start craving that. And then you'll notice, man, you know what? I ate something that just didn't quite agree with me. But before, when we eat so much that's not good for us, we don't know where it's coming from. You might have headaches or brain fog or some of these other things that happen not just from this COVID fear that we might have, but it's just because of what you're actually putting in your own body, right? Or what you're drinking or something like that. So I hope that makes sense for everybody. Well, we are going to conclude this episode. I want to thank you guys for joining me. All right, so he was not able to get on. So, these things happen. So, we will definitely have him come on at a different time when it's more convenient. This episode is sponsored by Inspirational Women of the World. I want you to be mindful of, checking it out on Amazon. We want to impact the lives of 1 million women by the year 2030. All the proceeds of this book are also going to raise entrepreneurship skills in Morocco. We are working to build a brick and mortar for the women there so that they can begin to have their own businesses, right? Be able to do what they need to do in order to help provide for their families. Okay, so that is really what that book is about. Again, I want to thank you guys, and I will be back later on this afternoon. I have another guest at 3:30. If you have any questions, comments, anything about my depression, what it's like to be a mother of 15 children, what my goals are for 2021, ways that you want to collaborate, anything like that, you want to reach out, have an introduction with any of my guests that have been on my show, feel free to leave a message in the comments or direct message me through Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. And I want to thank you guys again for watching. I will see you later on, if possible, today at 3:30. If not, you can always watch the replay. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I will see you later on today on our next episode. Talk to you then. Bye for now.